Hi, this is Jackie Fisher. Thanks so much for hopping on here today watching this video. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the time that I have spent here coaching at Uncommon and some of the things that I have learned that make me a valuable candidate. And I also have my good friend Chelsea here who's going to be my demo person for a movement that I'm going to show you today. So over the last year and a half that I've been here at Uncommon, one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is teaching tension over position. And so that's where I think that the pitfalls do come when it comes to coaching human movement, is that we try to make someone look a certain way in, let's say, a squat or a pressing movement, but if they're not finding the appropriate tension in the right muscles, then the movement is really doing them no good. So if you were to come into our facility, you would probably see people's push presses all looking a little bit differently, and that's because in efforts to find tension in the right muscle, their range of motion looks differently than the person standing right beside them. And so one thing that we have learned is that we break the body up into two systems. And those systems are called internal torque and external torque. And maybe if you're watching this, you have heard of that before. But basically, torque is just going to be used hand in hand with tension. And we treat the body as a system. So if we have someone who struggles to feel, let's say, their pecs, for example, we'll tell them to try and feel their low belly in effort to feel the chest. And so we have internal torque and external torque. Internal torque is going to be where most people are very weak. We really push, where I work, we push internal torque a lot of the time. These are going to be your structural muscles that hold heavy loads. I also think internal torque as putting your tension towards your body and towards your center. And so these are going to include muscles like your transverse abs, your obliques, your pecs are going to be an internal torque chain muscle. You have your teres, which is this upper part of your lat. Those are all IT muscles that a lot of people tend to be really weak in. And so we have a series of different movements that help wake up that system. And I'm going to show you one today. External torque is going to be explosive movements and moving away from the body. So if you take, let's say, a snatch, for example, that finishing position where the athlete is shrugging their shoulders and they're getting all up in their traps here, that's going to be a short-lived muscle tension and explosive and away from the body. So just a really basic education as to what internal torque and external torque are. For the sake of today, we're going to talk about internal torque because most people are really weak in their IT chain. So the movement we're going to go over today is called an oblique opener. The way in which I'm going to show it to you is just one way. There are very many ways to demonstrate it, and we do implement a lot of different ways to incorporate this movement into our classes. But I'm going to just start with the basic one with Chelsea. So she's going to go ahead and lie down on the floor. And if you're hands-on as a coach, you can do this manually, but I'll also show an option that Chelsea can do on her own time. But basically, she's just gonna wake up her IT chain. So she's gonna start off with her low abs, and then throughout the course of her breath, she's going to start to include other pieces of that internal torque chain to get the whole system working together. So what I'm gonna do here is get my hands onto Chelsea's hip bones, and just inside her hip bones are going to be her transverse abs. So I'll have my thumbs on her hip bones, and I'll put my hands on her obliques, and all I'm gonna ask her to do is start to inhale through the nose and rise and expand in her low belly and obliques. So she's thinking about a 360-degree expansion, and then she'll exhale through the mouth and she'll relax. And so if you look closely, you'll see, go ahead and inhale. She's inhaling, she's pushing against my fingers, and then she's exhaling and relaxing. And so what I'm feeling physically with my hands is I'm feeling her find that tension in the low belly. And that's really important because that's gonna be her bracing muscles. Those are the muscles that will keep her safe during these long duration workouts that we have in CrossFit. So then after that, what she can do is once she starts to become aware of this, then she can turn on her chest. So I'm gonna have her put her hands together into a prayer pose. She's gonna push the hands together to feel the chest, and then we're gonna see what happens to the low abs as she breathes in and out. Breathe in and exhale. Good, find my fingers down here. Inhale, good, exhale and relax. Give me one more breath, big inhale, good, and relax. And one more big inhale, and you'll exhale as slowly as you can while feeling tension in the low abs. Hold it, hold, hold. 3, 2, 1, and relax. So yeah, so Chelsea is starting to get into the chest a little bit, so we're seeing what happens to the low belly when she does that. Next piece of the puzzle will be her glutes. So she'll squeeze her butt to the point where the low back's on the ground. She's been doing the oblique opener a lot, so if you have someone who's a beginner at the oblique opener, you'll just have them moving with the low belly, but then over time they'll be able to wake up the entire system. So she's been doing this for a while, so if she includes the pecs, I don't really feel a whole lot change in her low abs, but when she squeezes the glutes, we might come up with some dysfunction, and that's where you start to see people getting back injuries, is if one side of their transverse abs or their obliques is weaker, it can result in them resorting to those erectors, which, by the way, is an external torque chain muscle. So I'm just gonna do this one more time with her. She's gonna squeeze her butt. Her low back is touching the ground, so I can't get my hand under the small of her back. She's squeezing her hands together to feel her chest, and now she's moving with her breath. So inhale, good, exhale. Inhale, big push. Exhale and relax. Inhale, hold, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, cool, relax. Okay, you can sit up. So yeah, so that's kind of just one tool that we use to help people develop awareness of their internal torque chain. Basically, it's just muscle awareness. So it starts with the low abs and the obliques. It then goes into the pecs. The glutes are another one. And then eventually over time, when your athlete starts to get really good at it, you can help them find their inner hamstring. That's gonna be the last piece of the puzzle. It's usually the most challenging. But yeah, so there's the oblique opener. That's one thing that I can definitely bring to your facility if you choose to hire me on. So thanks a lot.